Cabo family, good morning. Today doing a video, should you build a house or should you buy a house? Somebody reached out to me and wanted some advice on this, and it obviously depends upon your situation, but I wanted to go over a couple things for building versus buying. For obvious reasons, buying a house that's already built is going to be a lot easier. You know, a lot of people get nauseous when they think about building a house in Mexico, and I completely understand that, especially with a construction boom happening here and inflation for materials, paying workers and things like that can be a lot more. So the main reasons why buying a house built out is you know what you're getting, right? It's already built, you can do an inspection, you can make sure that everything is fine, right? And you don't have the hassle, you can move in immediately. A lot of places here are sold furnished, so literally could be just about as turnkey as you want it. Another thing is it's gonna be real quick, right? The closing process here, depending on how you're gonna set up ownership of your property, could be 3 months, right? A lot of them will do soft closings, can be even quicker than that. Just all depends, right? So that is going to be a very quick process. Another thing about, let's look at areas that are gonna be basically like Todos Santos, East Cape, where you actually have much more land than you have houses that are built out, right? So you have low inventory. Now we've seen basically since the pandemic, such high demand that these houses are going for a lot more than what they were 2 years ago. So I remember I had a guy talking to a couple builders, right? And he basically shared that one of the builders was not giving him price. And he said, hey, I think that guy's gonna try to sell me or build me a $600,000 house for $800,000, right? So generally, if you're gonna be buying, you know, you could have that premium too. Since then, we're gonna get into construction costs and see things like that, but obviously, turnkey, you know what you're getting, you don't have to deal with the permitting process, right? Now, what are some things about building here? Obviously, you can customize the house, right? Depending on where you bought and what is zoned for that area. You know, you can customize your house, you can work with the architect, you can design the home of your dreams, right? Costs, okay. Now, here's the thing with costs. Right now, a lot of people are building, and it's not just residential, right? You have a lot of people building commercial, whether that's hotels, you know, and we're talking about projects that are having, you know, 800, 1,000 workers a day. I've been quoted by a construction company here that as much as 80% of the labor that is currently working in construction in Baja California Sur is from the mainland of Mexico. So it's basically all imported. So a lot of these jobs, like one of the groups that I use for construction, they get their labor from right outside Mexico City. And that's where the guy's from. He knows people there. They come in 3-4 months at a time from the Puebla area, and that's how it's going. He also told me it's getting very competitive, you know. Not only have wages almost doubled for construction workers since before the pandemic, materials are more expensive, but also these workers know that it's in high demand right now since there's so many projects, so they can leave mid-job. So if you're working with a shoddy construction team that's not paying top dollar, you can actually have guys walk off the site. So these guys are getting benefits, the construction workers, right? They're getting food, they're getting paid weekly, right? They're getting transportation to and from the job. For example, man, if you're building in a remote area in the East Cape and you've got to have transportation 1 hour there, 1 hour back, you might as well set up like little barracks on site, right? Which is what some people do, but they're getting food, meals included, housing, transportation, all included. This was stuff that wasn't really necessarily happening except on larger projects. You're seeing that become a cost, right? So that's gonna be an extra cost, which is raising construction prices right now. And look, building in the US, if you've done it, There's very few people that I talk to that have built in the US and have said, oh my God, everything went, flawless. We had no issues, no delays, nothing, right? So on top of that, you're building in a foreign country, right? So there's gonna be the inevitable headaches. The timeline, I have one guy, he's coming down next month, and he's like, hey, I want a retirement home, I want to retire in 3 years. I basically said, if you knew what lot you're gonna be buying, right? And you have the design that you want, the construction team that you want, what you're gonna be paying, and they know how to do the permitting and stuff. I said, from the time you close on that lot to actually having it in your possession could be a 2-year process, right? He's like, wow. And I'm just want to let you know, I've seen, especially if it's like the husband and wife and they're designing the house, there's always these little things they want to work out about, is it the bathroom's going to be like this, or it's going to be like this. A recent one for a build in Rolling Hills that one of my clients is doing, the guy keeps changing the pool, and I was talking to the construction guy and he's like, Fletcher, this guy doesn't realize when he changes the shape of the pool, we got to go back to the engineer, we got to go back to all these things and make sure that this is actually going to be safe to do and we're not going to have to make any other modifications. So if you know what you want, it can happen pretty quickly, right? Just want to let you know too that it's a very competitive world right now in the construction. Delays are going to be inevitable. And once again, coming from Canada to the US, I don't think that's going to be too much different. For example, if somebody's buying a pre-construction condo or house, they're not designing, and they're buying it when it's like dirt, I always tell them to give at least, a 3 to 6 month grace period from what the developer is actually going to say they're going to deliver, right? Because I want to tame their expectations, just because, look, we all hope that another COVID type situation where things get shut down doesn't come back. That delayed a lot of construction here because you actually had the industry shut down for about 3 months. But there's always something that could happen, right? Then after that, since nobody could do construction and demand picked up, you had this mad rush, right? So really the municipality handling all the permits and things like that couldn't handle the increased demand of paperwork and things like that, so things were getting delayed. And that's where closings were taking a little bit, like a month longer than they should have. We've gotten away from that, but still to a certain extent. The interest here in Baja has not gone down, right? It's only gone up even more. So more people are looking at that. So when you have land, I know somebody that just sold at another agency, she sold a double lot in Pescadero and it went pending the same day that she listed up, and she told me, Fletcher, this is what happens when you have well-priced inventory, right? So if you're looking in an area like, let's say, Todos or Pescadero, and there's always going to be options, it just depends what you're looking to do, make sure that you're ready to do it, have that game plan, but then know who's going to be on the team afterwards, right? Here's another one too. I would always say to get 3 to 4 quotes, 3 minimum for construction, and just have somebody that here, an agent that you're working with, to look into that. A lot of people here don't want to deal with that though. I like construction, it's just, I like real estate, so it's more interesting to see a project come to life like that than sell something that's already built out. Majority of what I do, but still at the end of the day, I like that. I can document it, it's really cool, you see it coming to life. If you don't have somebody here that is going to help you, and let's just say, a lot of the buyers here could be, let's say 45 to 60, so you're maybe traveling back and forth, but you're more likely to get taken advantage of if you don't have somebody looking out for your best interest. So if you have friends down here that are building, talk to them, your agent, but I would get 3 quotes and I would actively let those people know that you're getting at least 3 quotes, so it'll be a competitive bid, right? And then just having somebody that's going to be there for you when you're not here. right? Because most people, if they're building, and let's just say 8 to 12 month build from the time you start, right, to the finish, a lot of that time before, 3 months for permitting, things all like this, right? But let's just say it's let's call it a 10-month build, right? 10 to 12-month build. You might be coming down 2 or 3 times just because you're excited, but you're gonna need somebody there on the day-to-day to make sure that they're doing that, right? Making sure that you have an attorney review the document for the construction and make sure it's good. I've heard Eduardo Tapia, attorney that I do a lot of videos with, he gave a nightmare situation in Pedregal, and the guy wanted to go after the builders, and basically he was like, hey, let's work on the contract for the next guys. But they even went in and did like forensics on the steel, and the diameter of the steel was half what it was supposed to be. So you just want to make sure that you have somebody that can vouch for you too. And if the agent is pushing you on a certain construction team, ask them why. Is it a friend? Are they getting a kickback? You know, these are things that you should know, right? If it's somebody that they've done a lot of work with, that's fine too. But you, at the end of the day, most people here are only building once. And if you're only building once, you want to do it correct, right? So just choosing the right people is a huge part of the game here. You know, and I really kind of talked about the last thing. Inflation has made construction even more expensive. Materials, at the end of the day, Cabo is an island. I always tell people, so everything is really imported here, which makes getting the materials a little bit more expensive. But at the end of the day, you know, I think that has subsided to a certain extent. The only thing is the demand to build has not subsided. So it is more expensive to build here than it was pre-pandemic. That's just a fact, right? But how you can do this is by vetting construction companies, getting quotes, let them know that you're actively shopping. So to kind of sum it up, it really depends what you're looking for. If you have a long-term horizon, by the way, a lot of people that I've worked with that are gonna build, they've bought land that they're still sitting on for 2 years. I have some clients that bought in Todos Santos, really nice guys from Philly, really smart guys, by the way, and they're just kind of holding put. They bought land, interest rate, stock market's going crazy. They say, hey, they already got the designs done and I can't wait to have these plop down. It's gonna be a super nice place. Not a cheap build either, but really well done. And I'm looking forward to that. I have somebody else that bought on the East Cape. They hadn't even gotten an architect to look at it yet. So if you lock in the land with low property taxes, there's no issue, right? There's no risk. You've already got the land, right? So there is no rush. However, if you're one of these people that's like, hey, I'm looking to retire from Dallas, I'm looking to retire from San Francisco in 3 years, you know, I would start looking at this because it's not gonna go as quick as you think it is. But building you can generally do for cheaper depending on what you're doing, right? But getting your land locked in, kind of having the plan, putting the team in place, and then having the expectations and being able to build something that's modern, right? Because you look at, I can walk into places now and I see like this hacienda old, like, you know, terracotta, like dark brown, like maroon floors. And I'm like, man, this might've looked good. This might've looked good in the 80s or the 90s, whenever, but like now it's just the first thing you want to do is get a sledgehammer or jackhammer and bust all that up and put something new and modern in. So it depends what you're looking for. A lot of people like that, right? But I like these modern builds with a lot of, especially in Cabo, a lot of natural light, a lot of windows, modern look, kind of cement finish, but you can do whatever, obviously, right? These are, it's your house, right? You get to design it the way you want to. But it definitely is not a bad route to go. You just want to make sure that you have the people in place. And if you need any help with that, I'm here, can give you any introductions to builders, can help you find land depending on where that is, right? Let you know what you'd be able to do on that land in the due diligence period. Another thing, if you're buying land here, get it surveyed. okay? Because the cadastral, which is the city government webpage, they have everything, but I've seen lots, let's call them 1,000 square meters, right? And it's a bunch of lots together, and you'll get it, you'll get the surveyor to go out there and do that, and all of a sudden you might gain 10%, you might lose 5%. Once they do that, sometimes the roads are gonna take a little bit away. So when you're buying land, you always wanna get it surveyed, because the actual size of the lot can change. What is in the city government webpage is not always accurate. And it's not necessarily like somebody's getting ripped off. That's just the reality of the situation when you have so much land here and trying to control it, and you have such a growing population and limited resources. So anyway, hope you guys got something out of that. Another beautiful day in Cabo, and I am here to help if you need anything. And hope you like this video. If you want more of these, just let me know and I'll keep them coming. Y'all have a good one.